President Trump turning up the heat and doubling down on his fire and fury warning to North Korea as the Hermit Kingdom threatens to fire missiles toward our base in Guam.
Frankly, the people that were questioning that statement, was it too tough? Maybe it wasn't tough enough. They've been doing this to our country for a long time, for many years. And it's about time that somebody stuck up for the people of this country and for the people of other countries. So, if anything, maybe that statement wasn't tough enough.
Later this afternoon, the president continued his tough talk, sending a strong message to dictator Kim Jong-un.
He has disrespected our country greatly. He has said things that are horrific. And with me, he's not getting away with it. I read about we're in Guam by August 15th. Let's see what he does with Guam. He does something in Guam, it will be an event the likes of which nobody's seen before, what will happen in North Korea.
And when you say that, what do you mean?
You'll see. You'll see. And he'll see.
Is that
He will see. It's not a dare. It's a statement. Has nothing to do with dare. That's a statement. He's not going to go around threatening Guam, and he's not going to threaten the United States, and he's not going to threaten Japan, and he's not going to threaten South Korea.
Poor Guam now finds itself in the middle of a big game of chicken between these two men. So he's really setting himself up for a serious situation next week. So if missiles are fired near the waters off Guam, the president has to respond very dramatically.
Well, that's what he said. It's interesting because people, even General Jack Keane the other day when he was on this show, he said that he wishes he could give the president a do-over on the fire and fury statement. But the president's instincts are always slightly different. And he's speaking to people in America who are like, what? I like strength. Like when President Bush said, bring it on, bring him on, and dead or alive, and the media went, oh, my gosh, he's a warmonger. I remember personally just saying, I'm for that. Yeah. Because it makes sense to me. I do think on the Guam piece, it is kind of interesting. Is it Guam because Kim Jong-un does not have the capability to send a missile anywhere else?
I believe that.
But why would you waste an opportunity on Guam if you don't know if President Trump's going to act? Why would you do that if you can? I think that this calculation is sort of strange, but one of the experts we had on the story, Dennis Wilder, he believes that Kim Jong-un has given us his playbook, and he is absolutely going to run it. He expects there to be an attack.
So if missiles are fired off the coast of Guam, Kimberly, I think it's about 17 minutes before they hit their target. So the United States has to act very decisively. What would be the appropriate response?
Well, I think that the problem is if you even let it go to that point, we've waited too long, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to try to intercept at that point of like maximum velocity from North Korea, then we're already operating at a disadvantage, right? Because then we have very limited options available to try to avert disaster. And I think what President Trump is talking about is something that would, you know, I guess be a precursor to that would preempt it and wouldn't allow it to get to that situation where the advantage is with North Korea. I don't think he's ever going to give up the advantage as it relates to the United States and our positioning, and that's why I think he's doubling down on this. Everyone was upset about fire and fury. Well, he's like, listen, I'm going to back the words up, and he said, in fact, maybe that wasn't strong enough, and that's his style.
If I could just add one other thing, the United States doesn't necessarily have to act. Japan and South Korea are both mobilizing, and they would be closer and able to.
Better tactical advantage.
Mo, how do you feel about the president's strong rhetoric with regards to North Korea?
Look, first, I give him a tremendous amount of credit for the early diplomatic moves, right? The fact that he was able to get a 15-0 Security Council resolution, that was a huge diplomatic win for the United States and a huge diplomatic win for him personally. I'm a little nervous about some of the rhetoric now. And, you know, thinking back to my old international relations classes and back when I was in college, one of the things that really stuck with me is the rational actor theory, that when it comes to international relations, it's like one big chess game. Every move you make is predicated on the notion that the other side is going to react rationally. I think that can be said about almost any country in the world except for North Korea. He thinks he may be speaking a language that the North Korean dictator can understand, but there's no telling how this guy interprets this, right? He may not internalize it the way you or I, as rational actors, or any other foreign head of state would do it. And so that makes me a little nervous. We are dealing with an incredibly unpredictable, volatile person who now has nukes. It's tricky, and I'm not sure that doubling down and tripling down is the way to turn the corner.
So you believe this guy we're seeing on the screen might have a death wish and doesn't care about survival. What do you think about the Hermit Kingdom, Greg Gutfeld?
I think it's a great name for a band. You know what? I think Donald Trump, it's refreshing rhetoric. I think it's important. I disagree with Mo. I think it's important to speak their language, because what you're seeing is negotiation and you're seeing bluffing. You wonder why he chose Guam, because it's a bluff. I believe it's a bluff, and this is where I'm going to say something completely different that people may get angry about, but there is room for sympathy for North Korea, and here's why. The Korean War ended in a divorce. South Korea got the greatest parent ever, the United States. We loved them, we protected them, we cared for them. The consequences, the results, a massively successful economy. South Korea had a great parent. What parent did North Korea get? Commies. China and the USSR, they couldn't afford to take care of them. They didn't want to take care of them. They didn't clothe them. They didn't feed them. They were terrible parents. And the reason why they were terrible parents is they were scared of North Korea becoming successful, so they treated them like crap. So what you have now is you have a child. North Korea is essentially a child that has been scarred. And what does a child do? Its rational way of thinking is survivalism. And a scarred child survives through bluffing. It acts tough because it knows that if it doesn't act tough, it's going to get ruined. So the solution, when you think about it, is how do you help this child that has been screwed by terrible parents for 40 years? A child that smartly realizes that it must bluff its way to survival. A child that feels that it needs nuclear power or nuclear weapons to survive. And who are we to say no? And I'm beginning to think that who are we to say no if you have been treated like crap for so long? I don't know. So I think there's a way to negotiate with these guys if you understand that for the past 4 decades, everybody's gotten great stuff, but they've been stagnant in a permanent mess forever, essentially a mole that hasn't ever gone malignant, but has promised to go malignant.
Why is that?
Because I think they realize this is their way. Like, whenever things get bad, they act up. And it's their way of defending themselves. It's kind of, it's a pathetic, sad world.
Kim Jong-un. I wouldn't say it's the people of North Korea.
Well, absolutely.
Because they are his victims.
Yes, exactly. And
so this is about somebody who is just wayward and trying to, you know, is a narcissist.
I think it's the only way they know.
Trying to do
the only way that family knows how to do this.
So how do you give this guy
down with them.
an off-ramp where he saves face and can kind of come back and not fire missiles at Guam?
Well, I think Secretary Rex Tillerson is trying that as well. I think that actually the administration is talking with one voice. I don't think that they're necessarily thinking that President Trump's off on one place, Mattis on another, and Tillerson. I actually think they're saying variations on a theme from 3 different people, and that Tillerson is the one from the State Department saying, you know, there is a way for you to get right with us, and you can choose that, but we're not going to mollycoddle you because we are better parents. Interesting, though, about rational theory is somebody like Gaddafi. So Gaddafi saw what happened to Saddam Hussein and was like, okay, here, Condi Rice, please take my nuclear weapons. And then I think, you know, there are other players. Iran chose a different path, and they have a different situation. But this one is, I think, different in that their problem is that they're a child that is now a threat to innocent people into the United States. So we can't be a good parent to them. We have to protect ourselves.
Yeah, I think by protecting ourselves is we have to find the on-ramp for them to save face and return back into their dark existence, because it's a dark world they live in, and it'll be a permanently dark world for those people, but it's the only way they think they can survive.
We also need to get the other parent to step up, though.
Yeah,
right? I mean, and that's the thing. China is, I mean, it's almost cliche now, but China is the key here. And if they were part of the problem that helped get us to this place, then it's time they step up and do their part.
Last word, Kimberly. What do you think the prospects are of China really coming to save this thing from disaster?
Strong.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I think they have no choice now but to get seriously involved and not just in a rhetorical way.
All right. Well, the ball's in China's court.